James Tremaine here. In this video, I'm going to show you why you self-sabotage and how to fix it. Now, if you stay with me for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to show you a 5-step formula that you can use in every situation to stop cravings, to stop negative thinking, to stop fear, worry, and doubt. Now, if you can't last 10 or even 15 minutes, your brain and your nervous system is already frazzled. So you can scroll past this video, but if you can last the next 10 minutes, I guarantee you that the time you put in here, the return on investment, if you start to implement the things that you learn in this video, are gonna 10x. Now, most men think they have a willpower problem or a discipline problem. They think that the reason that they can't stop smoking, they can't stop drinking, they get stuck in these negative, overthinking, worry, fearful, and doubtful loops is because they are broken. However, that is not the case. The reason that men are stuck in these self-sabotaging loops is because they have a nervous system problem and a subconscious programming problem. Now, I'm going to show you today how your brain, your body, your nervous system, your mind functions. And by you understanding how this works, it's going to give you the knowledge and then plus the tools that you can implement to start reprogramming your mind. Now, just like a child, if you tell a child, don't do that, the child is going to do exactly the opposite of what you say. Don't go jump in the puddle. What do? They go jump in the puddle. Okay? So this isn't me telling you what to do. This is me showing you a way. I'm going to show you the science behind it, how your brain, how your body, how your nervous system functions, and then you're going to implement these tools into your day-to-day life. And over the next 7 days, over the next 30 days, when you start to see improvements, you can then retrain your mind. Okay, this is why my whole brand is Retrain with Tremaine, is because all of these old belief systems, programs, and things that we have accepted from birth up until the present moment are quite literally taking control of our actions. And most of the time, we didn't consciously accept these beliefs as true. So that brings us to step one, the formula. Okay, there is a formula. You don't just make your choices in life, right? Your belief systems, what you accepted from birth up until the present moment, is quite literally controlling the way that you think. Now, the way that you think controls the way that you feel, and the way that you feel ultimately controls the actions you take in life. And it's not rocket science. The actions that we are going to take in our day-to-day life is going to control our results. So that leaves us to logic that if we control or if we get to the root cause of our belief systems, then we can control how we think, how we feel, and ultimately the actions we take, and then the results we get. So my question is, where do these belief systems come from? Now, when we were children, we were young. We weren't able to survive without our parents, without our primary caregivers. Now, our parents, they did the best that they could at that time. But if they weren't conscious, if they weren't aware, they would have taught us the best they could. However, if our parents were racist, for example, or our parents thought money didn't grow on trees, everything was worry, fear, doubt, etc., then when we grew up, that is what we were programmed into us to believe. Now, these belief systems taught to us in the ages of 0 to 7, because the ages of 0 to 7 is when the brain is developing. And the brain between 0 and 7 is primarily in theta brainwave frequencies. Now, theta brainwave frequencies are the frequencies that our brain is when we are in deep meditation, dreaming, okay, sleep, all right? And this is literally a programmable state. So our brain is like a sponge. So in 0 to 7, if we were told money doesn't grow on trees, you're not good enough, dad only cares about money, rich people are evil, right? Start to think about all of these belief systems that you subconsciously accepted as true, okay? Because there was no conscious analytical thinking mind between that time of 0 to 7 to question, okay? Our brain wasn't able to go, I don't believe that, that's not true, is this right, right? We just had to accept whatever our friends, family, school, religion, society told us was true. And then we grew up, and if we grew up hearing that this person is bad, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, then when we grew up to be 20, 30, 40, we then continued to act like that. And remember, our belief systems, if If I'm thinking I'm not good enough, I'm then going to feel and think, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm going to walk around thinking I'm not good enough. I'm going to feel I'm not good enough. And then when I go to take action on that new business idea I start, or I try and speak to that new woman, then all of a sudden this old programming is going to pop up. You can't do this, I can't do this. You're going to feel like this and you're going to act, or you're going to not act because you don't feel confident enough, depending on what the belief system is, okay? Until the age of about 30, we're just a set of programmed responses, habitual behaviors, okay? So it's important that you understand how your brain, how your body, how your nervous system, and how your beliefs are formed, okay? Now, you and I, we are way more than just our physical body, okay? We've been made to believe, another belief system. We've been made to believe by religion, schools, society in general, that you are just skin and bones, okay? There's nothing else to you. When you die, that's it. You're just skin and bones, all right? However, every single ancient civilization, every single great thinker throughout history has told us that we are way more than just our physical body. We are literally a soul, a spiritual being, a drop of consciousness having a human experience, okay? Now, you will know this because you were born, and where were you before you were born, okay? And then where are you going after you were born? Now, just by having the ability to think, René Descartes said it, I think, therefore I am. Okay, well, it's actually the other way round. I am, therefore I think. Okay, I am a drop of consciousness. I am awareness. I'm aware that I'm alive, and that means I have the ability to think. Okay, so we are consciousness, a drop of consciousness. We are awareness. We are God, Spirit, Universe, whatever you want to call it, who is having a human experience through your specific point of view. You're having your specific point of view, I'm having my specific point of view, but we are all a drop of consciousness. Now, this can sound woo-woo to some people, but quantum physics now is confirming to us what the ancients have told us for millennia, that everything down to its smallest atom is energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, considering everything, the table, the board, your body, is made up of tiny little atoms, all you have to do is go and research the double slit experiment, okay, and do 5 minutes of research in quantum physics, and it will absolutely blow your mind. That everything we see down to its smallest atom is just pure energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, all of the greats, Einstein, all of these people, Tesla, right, have all told us that if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So only now are we being told and confirmed by modern science, quantum physics, that this is the case, okay? So once we understand that everything down to its smallest atom is pure energy, frequency, and vibration, and that vibration is all dependent on an observer, okay? It's the observer effect. What I focus on will collapse the wave particle into reality, okay? So that makes us come back to who we are, okay? Who am I? Who are you, all right? You are a soul, a drop of consciousness, awareness, who's having a human experience, okay? You are consciously aware because you can think, right? I am aware that I am here. And by thinking and feeling, I then can experience my reality. So you're operating on more than just your physical body, right? So you are a soul, you are a drop of consciousness having a human experience. And you've been gifted a body, and you've been gifted a mind, and you've been gifted a nervous system, all right? So your nervous system over here comprises of your brain and your nervous system, right? Your spine. It's all centered around your spine. And it's your 5 physical senses, you hear, you see, you smell, you taste, you touch, that plugs you in to this physical reality, okay? And all of those 5 physical senses are done through vibration, which is energy and frequency, right? So for me to see something, it's just vibration, like a color red, for example, is a certain vibration which is coming into my retina. My brain translates that, and then I see it, okay? Touching something is a different vibration, all right? Hearing is just vibration coming into the ears, and you translating that into sound, okay? So everything back to its root is energy, frequency, and vibration. And it's our nervous system and our brain that plugs us in to this reality, okay? Now, we actually have the ability, as I said before, to control and improve our results by getting to the root, which is our belief systems. So that leads me to the drawing of your mind and your body, okay? Now, if I was to go and take a trip, for example, I wanted to drive across Europe and I wanted to go from Spain all the way to France, right? I would have a map, a GPS, okay? And it would tell me I need to take this direction, that direction, etc. And I would have a map and I could see it very clearly. Or another example, if I wanted to create, or I had a puzzle, a picture puzzle, right? There would be a picture on the front of the puzzle board, and then I would know, okay, each of these puzzle pieces need to go in this exact point, okay? So there is an image of how it looks. Now, the way that your mind works, and your mind is where all those belief systems are stored in a subconscious level, it works in pictures, okay? So if I tell you to think of a pink elephant, boom, you immediately think of a pink elephant. If I tell you to think of your car, boom, immediately, without you even thinking, there's a picture in your mind of your car. Now think of your bedroom, right? Bang. It thinks in images. Now when we think of the mind, the human mind, we don't have an image of the mind. Most people are going to think it's a brain. So this map that I'm going to draw you today is going to absolutely change how you see your mind, your brain, your body. And then once we implement the tools as well, the 5-step process to change any of these limiting beliefs, behaviors, and habits, the whole image is going to make more sense, okay? So if we have a look at this big circle at the top here, this circle represents, the whole circle represents your mind, okay? So you have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. The line here is divided by your analytical reasoning, okay? Now, down here at the bottom, this was us 0 to 7 years old. We did not have that conscious, analytical, reasoning mind when we were 0 to 7 years old, okay? Only at about 7 years old did we start to reason, okay? Start to ask questions. Why? Okay, why? How does this work, yeah? And before then, all of this information from schools, religion, friends, family, society went into our subconscious mind like a sponge, okay? And we held on to that. Okay, so as I said, if we saw our parents arguing about money, or we saw that this type of person is bad, then we grow up, we never question that, and we start acting like that. Okay, and all of a sudden, I hate that type of person, right? I don't like this, I don't like that. Yeah, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then you grow up to 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, whatever age, you've never questioned it before, and you're just going about your life. Yeah. Drinking because I'm stressed, why not? All right, I saw my dad do it. Yeah, that's my belief system. Yeah, this type of religion is bad. Yeah, fuck them. Right? You've never, ever, ever stopped to question why you believe the things you believe, why you think the things you think, and why you say the things you say and the actions you take. Okay. Now this process is called metacognition. Okay, it's the process of analyzing one's own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions. Okay. Why do I do the things I do? Okay, and once we start asking our questions, we start to realize, okay, most of the things that I've been taught, why do I actually believe them? Is this true? Okay, now the conscious mind is your analytical thinking mind. Okay, it's short-term memory, it reasons, it's willpower, it's logic. That's all it does. Okay, it's about 10% of your mind. Now, I'm sure you've heard and seen the analogy of the iceberg by Carl Jung, that the iceberg is like the mind, the 90% of it is underwater, subconscious, and the 10% is outside of the water, which is conscious, okay? So now the subconscious, which is the 90% under the water, this is what's driving behavior, okay? This is where your belief systems are held, your addictions, your habits, your patterns, it's your emotional mind, okay? It's subjective, okay? So the conscious mind is objective. It's otherwise known as objective mind. It deals with the objective reality, objects, okay, things, yeah? The subjective mind, otherwise known as the subconscious, unconscious, whatever you want to call it, deals with subjective things, things that are emotional, okay, habits, feelings, belief systems. That deals with your bodily functions, okay? This is where your breath is, okay? You don't have to consciously think about breathing. You don't have to consciously think about a cut healing yourself, okay? This is your connection to your soul, infinite intelligence, okay? Your soul is connected through your brain and your nervous system, and it uses the mind to create its reality, all right? So if you have a look, you've got the mind at the top here. These blue things are your 5 physical senses. You hear, you see, you smell, you taste, you touch, okay? That's what plugs you into these 5, or into this physical reality. You've got the line here, which goes down to your body, okay? This line is your behavior, your actions, okay? And your actions are what your body takes in this physical reality, okay? So if I have a belief system that I'm fat and that I just can't lose weight, well, if I keep believing that, that's going to seep into my subconscious. I'm going to then feel that I can't do that, and I'll take action and just keep eating like a pig, all right? So the body is what you use to take action. Now, a super important part here is these red lines here. These are also senses, but these are extra sensory perceptions, okay? Clairvoyance, inner audience, intuition, okay? The feeling of taste, inner taste, okay? These are all feelings and senses that have to be developed. Now, you might think that's woo-woo to begin with, but as all of the ancients have said, and also CIA, for example, who have spent billions and billions of pounds or dollars invested into consciousness, okay, reality, the nature of reality, extrasensory perception, dreaming, lucid dreaming, okay, astral travel, all of these different things to understand that the mind, the subconscious mind, is connected to a universal mind, quantum field, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, okay? And we can get information, guidance, ideas beyond our level of consciousness, okay? And this is what Einstein used to say. He used to go for cat naps, and ideas would just be downloaded into him, okay? All of these greats, even like James Cameron, who created the Terminator, he said that he got an idea for the Terminator through lucid dreaming, okay? So all of these great thinkers have told us that we get ideas from our subconscious, which is connected to a universal infinite intelligence, God, spirit, quantum field, whatever you want to call it, okay? So when we connect through these extrasensory perceptions, we get intuition, we get guidance. It's the art of listening to life, okay? The universe is always speaking to us, it's always talking to you, but it can't speak to you in conventional language. It can't just say, James, what the fuck are you doing? Sort this out. So it gives us in signs, in symbols, intuitions, dreams, etc. And if we don't listen to that, no problem. The universe goes, no worries, mate. You continue doing what you're doing. You continue smoking. You continue eating shit. You continue sniffing lines, right? You continue down the path you're doing. But I'll keep giving you more and more signs until eventually the missus leaves, kids get taken away, right? An illness, yeah, business tanks, yeah? That's because the universe is keep saying, look, are you going to listen yet? Are you going to listen yet? And you don't, all right? So these senses is what we will develop as we go through this process, all right? The internal control system. This is exactly what we do with the men in our internal control system, is develop these extrasensory perception, imagination, memory, willpower, intuition, okay, focus. All of these things are things that we can develop, all right? Now, attached to our body, obviously, we have our heart. Now, our heart is more than just a pump. It is literally known as our second brain. It's got maybe even more or similar amounts of neurons, okay? So it's not just a pump, it literally is the electromagnetic field, right? That creates an electromagnetic field around our body, otherwise known as an aura, okay? Now that aura either grows or it shrinks depending on how we feel, okay? Because our feelings and our thoughts are a guidance system. They're telling us what we are creating in our outside world. Right? Remember, our outside world is just reflecting how we think and how we feel inside. So our feelings are emotion, energy, frequency, and vibration, and they are telling us what we are creating in our outside world. It's the law of attraction, okay? Like attracts like. Where we place our energy is where we place our focus, okay? So that leads us onto the loop that you're probably in right now, okay? When we self-sabotage, what's happening is we have an old belief system. Okay, we have an old habit, an old program that's been programmed into us from birth, okay, or from a very young age. So if we were young and we saw that our parents were smoking, okay, to deal with their stress, or they'd have a bottle of wine after work, and then when we grew up we saw our mates getting on lines and stuff, then we have subconsciously accepted this belief system as a way to deal with stress, overwhelm, okay, emotional regulation, etc. So we keep repeating that, okay? That then goes into our subconscious mind and we create a belief system. Okay, whenever I'm stressed, I'll have a joint. Whenever I'm overwhelmed at the end of the day, I'll have a beer or a wine, for example, right? So that creates the stress, the overwhelm, the relief, okay? Then what do? We reach for drink, drugs, junk food, scrolling, procrastination, whatever your individual vice is to take off the edge, okay? That is basically us trying to regulate our nervous system and get us out of fight or flight and into parasympathetic mode, into rest and digest, okay? But we're doing it artificially in this way. Once we then have drink, drugs, junk food, we then feel shame, guilt and regret. And what do we end up doing? We want to get rid of those feelings again, yeah, because we want to feel good naturally, and the loop starts again, okay? Now this loop can be for anything. This can be for a negative belief system. I can't do this, all right? If you're walking around thinking, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, right? I don't think I can lose weight. I don't think I can stop drinking. Whatever that limiting belief system is that's been programmed into us, that is then controlling our results. Literally, if you're walking around and you're wanting to start a business, like I just said to you, but you don't believe you can do it, then you're going to take action exactly how you feel, okay? There is no way around that. If your belief system says I'm not good enough, you're then going to feel like that and you're going to take action with how you feel, okay? If you're feeling like shit, there's no way you're going to take a good action, all right? Other people will then mirror that, okay? So if you've got a feeling I'm not good enough, then you thinking I've got to go into this sales call, but I don't feel like I'm going to close it, then you feel negative, you feel worried, you feel fearful, and you go into that call and you start talking to that person, well, you're going to not feel confident, they're going to feel it subconsciously, then they're not going to buy from you because your actions didn't mirror your results, right? But when we change the way that we believe and the way that we think and we feel, we then turn up to these sales calls more confident, right? We feel happy, joyful, excited, right? I can do this. And then all of a sudden, that person we're on the call with, they feel that. They go, oh yeah, I want to work with James. And all of a sudden, you take a different action and you get a new result, okay? So that leads us on to our 5-step formula of how we're going to change any of these limiting belief systems, any of these behaviors, any of these habits, any of these old belief and patterns that are keeping us stuck, okay? This is how we're going to retrain it. So step 1 is awareness, okay? You have to be aware that you're in a cage in order to escape the cage, all right? You can't escape the cage if you don't know you're aware. So first step is become consciously aware of everything that's happening in your life, okay? Why do I think the way I think? Why am I taking these actions? Why do I say these words? Why do I do these things, okay? As you're walking around, you'll notice you've got that voice inside your head, and it's either gonna be like, you can do this or you can't do this, or you're not good enough, and you know, it comes up with this absolute madness in your head. So every time you catch it, start asking yourself, why? Okay, why do I think like that? All right, so step 1, awareness. Step 2, you're gonna say cancel, cancel. The second that you realize that you're thinking in a negative thought pattern or a negative belief, you're gonna say cancel, cancel, fuck off, get out of my head, all right? You can even visualize yourself wiping off the board or pressing delete on your keyboard, okay? That's gonna delete and get rid of that old negative belief. And then immediately, you're gonna take a nice, big, deep breath. Your breath is the remote control to your nervous system. That's going to calm you down and get your brain out of high beta, stressed out, worried, fearful, down into the subconscious alpha and theta brainwave frequencies, which is the programmable states of mind, okay? By then breathing, you're going to get out your A5 cards, okay? This is going to have your vision blueprint on, okay? This is what we teach inside the internal control system. And if you want to go deeper on that, I'll leave a link inside the description that has the vision blueprint on, okay? And it's also going to have the fundamentals of breathwork training so you can actually utilize these things in real time. Now, once you have looked at your vision blueprint, you're going to look at it, you're going to read it, it's going to have your goal on it. On the other side, it's going to have your desire, you have to be, okay? So that would be, I need to be disciplined, but not need, I am, because everything you put after I am, you become. So I am disciplined, I am strong, I'm relaxed, I'm calm, and then it's gonna have the feelings on there as well. How will it feel? Once I've achieved that, how will I feel? I'll feel amazing, I'll feel happy, I'll feel joyful, I'll be peaceful, yeah? And as you're doing that, you're breathing deeply, you're looking at that, you're visualizing it, okay? And then, boom, next, you take action. okay? Literally, get straight back on to the next thing that you need to do, okay? The mind can't think about two things at once. So once we're taking action, we've shifted our internal state, we've changed our perspective, and then boom, we're straight into action, okay? So instead of us going down that loop of like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, then I feel bad, my feelings then create more thoughts, and the next thing you know, I'm having an argument with my missus, or I'm getting cut up in traffic. Instead of us going down that loop, boom, we cancel it, we get rid of it, okay? We stop it. And then we replace it with something better. And if we can keep a positive thought and a positive feeling for 17 seconds, just 17 seconds, that's then gonna create more feelings and more thoughts. It's a loop, okay? The thinking, feeling loop. I feel good, I think better. I think better, I feel better. I feel better, okay? And it keeps doing like that, it's a loop. And it's the same with if you think negative. Sitting on your sofa, feeling terrible, right? Thinking about the argument you gotta have, you create chemicals in your body, cortisol, adrenaline, all these different things, and all of a sudden you're ready for a fight and you're just sitting on your sofa, okay? That's because your thoughts were creating feelings and your feelings were creating thoughts, okay? And it's exactly the same way, but for positive things. So if we can then break that negative belief, okay? And with repetition, we have to do this every single day in, day out, multiple times a day, okay? Because by doing it day in and day out, what we're then going to do is break that old habitual pattern, okay? These neurons have fired and wired in your brain for so many years, maybe even decades. It's like a skier going down off piste, okay? When you go on a normal track, it's super easy to go down because hundreds of other people have gone down there every single day for years and years and years. When you try and go off piste, it's super difficult because the snow hasn't been molded to create that pathway. Well, it's the same with your brain, okay? If you've gone down the same pathway of I'm not good enough, I'm stressed, I need a drink, oh, fuck it, I'll have a lion, okay? Take the lion, feel regret and shame and guilt and all these things. That pathway down your brain is so intimately ingrained, okay? So that's what we're gonna do, all right? Is repetition, 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 okay? Every day in, day out, fixing that issue, all right? And as we do that, you're gonna start to notice that you're gonna take new actions, and all of a sudden, what was once difficult is now easy, okay? So try that out for the next 30 days, guys. Let me know in the comments how you go, all right? And what I'm also gonna do, if you're a man, you're a high-performing man, a business owner, a CEO, entrepreneur, a professional, if you guys want to go deeper in the internal control system, this is the system that I use to teach guys how to take full control of their internal world, stop the overthinking, stop the stress, stop the self-sabotage so that you can perform at your best and create more time, energy, income, and freedom. Then I'll leave a link in the description below. You can book a consultation call, an assessment call, and then we'll go from there. So see you in the next video, guys.